You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 11th day of August. Make that 13th day of August, 2025. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is private. That's for traders, our traders, and those who are taking our 1-week free trial. If you've not yet taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael comes on in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step, a couple times, how to take the trial. There's no credit card required. And I know it's the middle of the week, but don't let that stop you from signing up today, because the weekend doesn't count against your 5 days. No matter what day of the week or hour of the day you sign up, you'll get 5 consecutive trading days. Now, today won't count, because today we'll be getting your indicators up and indicating on the TradingView platform. So your trial will officially start tomorrow, Thursday, and then run through close of business Friday afternoon, next Wednesday. And when you take the trial, you're not just getting into the live training room. We're giving you unfettered access to everything we offer. Soup to nuts. Whatever that means. I guess it speaks for itself. But seriously, from the weekly trading zones, to the logic alerts, to the concierge trade alerts, to the one-on-one mentoring, the whole shebang. Again, whatever that means. You have access to it all. 5 days, no credit card required. Focus on what's being taught, so at the end of the week, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision whether or not trading is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which, unlike the morning broadcast, is open to the public. That's everybody everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com, scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Going forward, what will happen is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you'll have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Of course, there'll be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, can't join live, but do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. But you don't have to remember all that. Just youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live on our YouTube channel every trading day, as we're doing right now, simulcasting, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,800 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. You can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it is a great resource to have at your fingertips. And I'll let you know we've been around a minute. youtube.com/CFRN. While you're there, be sure to click the subscribe button and tick that little bell. This way, anytime we go live outside of our normal broadcast hours, you'll be notified, and it helps more people find our channel. This is the schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Michael will join us about 1 p.m. Eastern and give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room, then do a little live trading on the TradingView platform. But right now, we're going to jump into our daily devotional, where we always start each and every afternoon broadcast. Now, we finished a topic yesterday that we'd been on for quite a few days, chasing carrots, the endless pursuit of more. We talked about chasing fame, chasing approval, chasing perfection, achievement, comfort, and we ended up yesterday with chasing God. And that's where you want to be. Our new topic, starting today and for the next 5 days, walking in victory, a 5-day journey to spiritual freedom. Our scripture is Joshua 24, verses 14 through 15, and I'm going to share it with you from the NIV translation. Now, fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshipped beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. I think every family, every believing family, should have a little plaque like that over their door. We don't have a merch store, so I can't send you there to buy that plaque, but I'm sure you can find one somewhere. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Okay, day 1, choosing to serve the Lord. Above and beyond everything else, it is a choice. In the scripture we just read, Joshua said, yeah, you can go serve this God, or you can go serve that God. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the real God, the creator of the universe. Joshua's bold declaration, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord, challenges us to examine our own commitment to God. In a world full of distractions and competing priorities, we must consciously choose to put God first. Reflect on areas of your life where you may be serving other gods, whether it's career, money, relationships, or even personal ambition. How can you reorient your life to more fully serve the Lord? And keep in mind, this choice is not a one-time decision, but a daily recommitment. Pray for strength and wisdom to consistently choose God's way over the world's way. You'll win every time. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we choose this day to serve you with all of our heart, all of our soul, all of our strength. Help us to put away anything that competes for our devotion, and give us courage to lead our families in faith. As for us and our houses, we will serve you faithfully and wholeheartedly. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. Everybody said, Amen, Amen, and happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. I'm sure you know by now the S&P 500 put in a new all-time historic high today and quickly retreated as it did the last time. I'll show you what that looks like on the charts when we get there. But for now, let's go to the indices, the cash markets. And the Dow is up 354 points, almost 1%. The NASDAQ up 12. S&P 500 up 9. Russell 2000 up 24, a little over 1%. It's the only mover and shaker in that bunch. In the commodity basket, crude oil is down $1.16, trading 62.01 last. That's a drop of almost 2%. Gold up $9.50, trading 34.0840 last. It's a welcome relief from the shellacking it got yesterday. Silver up 50 cents, trading 38.51 last. That's a gain of well over 1.25%, or $2,500 per contract traded. Silver is about to break out and blow up. I think that's my opinion. We'll see if it comes to pass. I made that same statement a couple of years ago, and we've just languished. But I think the time is here. We'll see. We will see. In the Asian markets, at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 556 points, a little over 1.25%. Shanghai rose 17. Hang Seng gained 643. That's over 2.5%. And in the European markets, at the close, FTSE up 17. The DAX up 165. The CAC up 51. So it's not often that I get to say this, but we had a green day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And it's a big green Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. Now, the Dow's the one that's really deep into the green. The NASDAQ's up 14, but for the NASDAQ, that's not a lot. So if the market is going to follow suit from the last time we put in a new all-time historic high, well, that could change before this broadcast ends. S&P is up 10. That's respectable, but Not a lot. The Russell 2000, now that is respectable, very. Up 25 points, over 1%. So let's look at the news. Really? Okay. Stand by. For some reason my news feed suddenly, out of the blue, wants my password. Oh, and one of my machines got hit last night with a Windows update. Yours? Now, it's my secondary machine, not my main machine. But usually I get a little notice on my main machine because I've got it on pause so that it notifies me so that I control when it updates rather than it controlling when it updates. So, all right. What? Hang on. All right. You guys use Cloud HQ? I always just say no. This time I said yes. Oh God, I'll probably regret that. And no LastPass. I don't want to add that to my file. Okay. All right. Did I mention news? We talked about this a little bit yesterday. AI startup Perplexity has made an unsolicited bid, all cash, $34.5 billion to acquire Google's Chrome browser, which has over 3 billion users worldwide. Now, let's face it, what Perplexity is buying are those users, because most browsers are open source, and there's so many different browsers to choose from, although everybody typically chooses Google Chrome. I really think that's what Perplexity is after, the users, not the actual software itself. That could be duplicated by someone with mediocre coding skills in an hour. You could probably have AI do it in less time than that. The bid comes as a federal court considers whether to force Google to divest key assets, including Chrome, after ruling last year that the company holds an illegal monopoly in search and digital advertising. Oh, that's the other reason they might want it. All that advertising revenue. That's a huge cash cow for Google. But you can see what's happening. The courts are considering whether to force Google to divest key assets. And so Perplexity's jumping the gun here with this $34.5 billion all-cash bid. They're setting the benchmark. I can't wait to see who the next player is that comes in and says, we'll give you 36 billion. And then it's 38, and then it's 40. And then only if the courts force them do I think they will relinquish it, because they just make too much money from it. A decision on potential remedies is expected this month. Google is appealing the ruling, of course, and has shown zero willingness to sell. Perplexity already offers Comet, an AI-powered browser that can perform tasks for users. Acquiring Chrome would vastly expand Perplexity's user base, there we go, and strengthen its position against competitors. OpenAI, which is developing its own AI-enabled browser, has also expressed interest in buying Chrome. Perplexity's bid includes $3 billion in investments over 2 years for Chrome and Chromium, maintaining its open source status. See, it's open source. And keeping Google Search as the default. The company says its all-cash offer, backed by investors and exceeding its own $18 billion valuation, is designed to sidestep potential antitrust challenges. Here's a company valued at $18 billion offering to make a $38 billion or $34 billion all-cash purchase. Imagine you trying to do such a transaction down at your bank. Well, we're going to see a lot of interesting things happen on the back of AI. This is just the beginning. Wildfires in Europe sadly killed at least 3 people yesterday. 2 in Spain, 1 in Albania. You know, I always think of Albania as like some snowy place, but I'm no geography whiz. Thousands of people have been evacuated as blazes broke out across parts of Spain, France, Greece, Portugal, Turkey, and the Balkans. In many places, the danger is compounded by a days-long heat wave caused by a persistent high-pressure system pulling warm, dry air across the continent. France and Hungary have seen record-high temperatures, with parts of France placed under the country's highest level heat alert. Albania, Montenegro, Germany, Spain, Italy, and the UK have also issued heat advisories. We get them here in Phoenix practically every day. Parts of Spain this weekend witnessed temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the temperature in Phoenix right now? It's only 96. It's a cool morning. It'll be 110 before you know it. Since the 1980s, Europe has outpaced other continents in warming, with temperatures increasing at twice the speed of the global average. That trend is partly attributed to reduced air pollution on the continent. Efforts to crack down on aerosols have resulted in reduced cloud cover, enabling more solar radiation to reach land. So, now, think about this. Since the 1980s, Europe has outpaced other continents in warming. Although they've actually been trying to do something good. They've reduced air pollution, good thing. They've cracked down on the use of aerosols, good thing. So I guess 2 rights make a wrong. Because in doing these good deeds, they're enabling more solar radiation to reach land. If you can figure that out, we'll give you some kind of an award. Cryptocurrency entrepreneur Quando pleaded guilty yesterday to federal conspiracy and wire fraud charges 3 years after his company's collapse wiped out over $40 billion in investor assets. Quan co-founded Terraform Labs in 2018, creating a digital currency he claimed was pegged to the US dollar, like other stablecoins, which again make no sense to me, but that promise unraveled in May 2022 when a wave of withdrawals sent the currency's value to near zero within days. how does that happen if it's pegged to the dollar? I see, that's the part I guess I don't get. But I guess if it goes to zero, somehow there's a way to make a profit. But it would seem the only way to make a profit would be if the value of the dollar itself rose, and cryptocurrency is man's best effort to get away from the use of fiat currency. All very confusing. Under yesterday's plea deal, Kwan will forfeit $19.3 million and several properties. Prosecutors may also seek up to a 12-year prison sentence at his December 11th sentencing. After serving half his time, the 33-year-old may be eligible to serve the rest of his time in his native South Korea, where he faces further criminal charges. Now, this deal is separate from a $4.5 billion civil settlement Kwan and Terraform reached with the U.S. government last year. And have you heard about this shock probation thing? Some guy, there's so many people creating so many heinous acts, I can't even keep them all in my frontal lobe. But some guy did some heinous thing, and he was sentenced to, like, I don't know, 12, 13 years. I know I'm not getting these numbers right, and I'm not reading this from an article. This is just from memory. But he got released after, I think, less than a year on what's called shock probation. You put him in jail, you shock him, right, with how horrible jail life is. Then you let him out and give him another chance. Obviously, the families of the deceased person in this case, yeah, they're not too happy about shock probation. I never heard of it till yesterday. I guess it's a thing. The Trump administration is broadening its search for the next Federal Reserve chair, with reports suggesting as many as 11 candidates may be in the running to replace Jerome Powell when his term expires in May. They could put Donald Duck in that chair and I'd be happy. Anybody but Jerome Powell. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's leading the search and interview process with the next Fed chair, said the administration is casting a very wide net for candidates. The president has a very open mind. According to Bessent on Fox Business yesterday, he even considered reappointing Janet Yellen. So we want to see what everyone's thinking, he said. I don't believe that for a minute. Who in their right mind would put Janet Yellen back in that chair? She's part of what got us in this mess to start with. Bessent went on to say it's not ideological, it's about economics, what's best for the American people, what's best for the economy. Remember, she's the one that told us inflation, which reached 45-year highs, it was transient. Those were her words. Don't worry about it. It's transient. And it just kept going higher and higher and higher. And finally, she actually made the statement in an interview, maybe it's not transient. Until you do something that affects the underlying reasons for the inflation, of course it's not going to go away. This broadening surge marks an evolution since last week when Trump said he had narrowed down his list of candidates to 3 or 4 people. I mean, every day you read something different. What are you going to believe? I don't know. A report from CNBC today citing 2 administration officials that Trump is now weighing up to 11 candidates to replace Powell, including Jefferies chief market strategist David Zervos and BlackRock chief investment officer for global fixed income Rick Ryder. BlackRock has no comment on the report. Now, that sounds more like our federal government. You leave the Treasury, you go to work for Goldman Sachs. You leave Goldman Sachs, you go to work for the Fed. Politics makes for strange bedfellows. But if you go back and look through history, that's kind of how it's worked. President Trump will continue to nominate the most competent and experienced individuals to deliver on his pledge to make America wealthy again, unless it comes from President Trump himself. However, any discussion about personal decisions should be regarded as pure speculation. That I agree with. In fact, I think he should call an address to the nation. There's so many wonky things going on right now. And half of our population will never hear about those wonky things because they're not on liberal or legacy media. But when the president makes a speech from the Oval Office, all of the legacy media channels, ABC, CBS, NBC, I don't know that they're required by law to carry it, but they want ratings, so they're going to carry it. I think that's the only way he can get the truth out to all American people. Just a thought. Stocks up today amid increasing expectations that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates at its next meeting following the latest inflation data. Well, that would be nice. Cryptocurrency exchange operator Bullish trades under the symbol BLSH. It's down 100% today. Is that true? I guess. It's set to go public today at a valuation north of $5 billion, as the IPO market looks set to continue a strong summer. Now, apparently this article was written this morning about 8:34 Mountain Standard Time. Company, which operates a crypto exchange and owns the prominent trade publication CoinDesk, said Tuesday it had priced its IPO at $37 per share, above the $32 to $33 range the company had expected in its second shot at making a public market debut. Bullish first attempted to go public via a SPAC merger in 2021 that would have valued the company at $9 billion. But the deal fell through after regulatory scrutiny, and Bullish withdrew its resignation or registration. This is the company's second range increase for its latest offering, with the previous $32 to $33 per share estimate raised from an earlier range of $28 to $31 per share. At 30 million shares offered, the IPO price will see Bullish raise $1.1 billion and value the fintech company at $5.41 billion. And I see Bullish is trading now at maybe they haven't opened for trading. Something doesn't look right here. This chart I have, it shows the price, nothing but zeros. Maybe they just haven't gone public yet. I mean, it's supposed to happen today, but maybe it hasn't. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Scott Bessent made his most explicit call yet for the Federal Reserve to execute a cycle of interest rate cuts, suggesting the central bank's benchmark ought to be at least 1.5 percentage points lower than it is now. I think we could go into a series of rate cuts here, starting with a 50 basis point rate cut in September. If you look at any model, it suggests that we should probably be 150 to 175 basis points lower. Fed policymakers last month kept their benchmark at a target range of 4.25% to 4.5%, where it's been all year. Percent said officials might have cut rates if they'd been aware of the revised data on the labor market that came out a couple of days after the latest meeting. I doubt it. The Bureau of Labor Statistics on August 1 slashed the numbers for payroll gains in May and June by 258,000. Wow. Who does the counting? I mean, it takes days, weeks, months for election results to get counted. But somehow American Idol and America's Got Talent, they can tally the results during the commercial break. Maybe we could borrow their computer. According to Reuters, subscribers to Amazon.com's Prime service, which I think is just about everybody, can now get strawberries, milk, meats, and frozen dinners on the same day they order them, as the company expands its fast delivery option to perishable food items. It's the latest move by Amazon to compete with grocery delivery services offered by Walmart Plus and Instacart. I said years ago, there will come a time you'll get your gas at the Amazon station, you'll bank at the Amazon bank, you'll go to the doctor at the Amazon clinic, and on and on and on. I was kind of joking a little bit back then, but it looks like it might come to pass. From Bloomberg, traders are snapping up risky assets of all stripes in the hope that falling U.S. interest rates will add rocket fuel to an economy that so far has been able to withstand the effects of Donald Trump's trade war. Wall Street is set to extend record highs when trading begins today. This article obviously was written before the market opened. With shares of small cap, that's at Russell 2000, emerging market, and semiconductor companies leading the gains. Across global markets, everything from volatility indexes to speculative European bank bonds to crypto is underscoring a sense of confidence about corporate profits and global economic growth. Now, the S&P 500 hit another record close yesterday. Now, that's the cash index, ending the trading day above 6,400 for the first time ever, and looked to be headed for another record today. We'll go to the charts and see that in a minute. As has been the case for much of the bull market that started in October of 2022, large cap technology stocks are driving the market's latest leg higher. This was on full display yesterday with Meta and Palantir closing at record highs. Just when you think they can't go any higher, they do. And just when you think they gotta go higher, they don't. But you know how that works. The Trump administration can cut billions of dollars in foreign assistance funds approved by Congress for this year, a U.S. appeals court has ruled. In a 2-1 decision on today, the appellate panel reversed a Washington federal judge who found that U.S. officials were violating the Constitution's separation of power principles by failing to authorize the money to be paid in line with what the legislative branch directed. The ruling is a significant win for President Trump's efforts to dissolve the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, and broadly withhold funding from programs that have fallen out of favor with his administration. Now, here's the thing. They're going to show you commercials on TV where little, emaciated babies are crying, dying of hunger, okay? But this money through USAID, it never makes it to that baby. It all gets scooped up by the corrupt governments of those countries. Agnes, some of you know who she is, some of you don't, but anyway. It was her and her husband, Chris, both Africans, and my wife, who started the orphanage back in 2000. She stood in, and she was here for a month, and now she's gone back to Africa. But she stood in my kitchen and said, I wish they would get rid of this U.S. aid thing. She goes, we hear about all this money that's coming to our country, but we never see a dime. But all the government officials get bigger cars and bigger houses and longer vacations. And Trump is not trying to withhold aid from that starving child. He's trying to keep it out of the pockets of corrupt politicians. But most people don't understand that. Oh, he's just the mean orange man that wants everybody to starve. He really does need to do some kind of press conference from the Oval Office that will be carried by all the networks. Amazon will more than double its grocery footprint in the U.S. by the end of the year, threatening to disrupt the industry. Now we're talking physical locations. We already talked about deliveries. Now we're talking about physical locations. Again, it's sort of like back in the gold rush days, you bought everything from the company store, because that was the only place. Left unchecked, that's where Amazon's headed. Now, we do have monopoly laws in the U.S. that should prevent that from happening. We'll see if it does. Guess it depends on whose palm you grease. All right, Logic 247. That's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, and silver. We're currently in week 367. Over the last 367 weeks, we've issued over 20,300 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, Valerie did the recap this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. So since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, that's when our week begins, we've issued a total of 39 handcrafted alerts. We were still waiting on the outcome of 13. I think most of them are probably still waiting. That gave us 26 actionable alerts at the time of the recap. And of those 26 actionable alerts, 3 or 12% would have been stopped out, again, based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target, a final trade to target, well, additional targets, and then a final trade to target. If it's a long alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone above. If it's a short alert, the final trade to target will be the weekly trading zone below. The logic alerts are designed to help you learn how to read a chart. Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. Now the alerts come out, they're published in the Telegram channel long before they actually trigger. Minimum usually of 20 minutes, usually more like 2 hours, and quite often several days. So when a logic alert comes out, you don't have to trip over your feet to get to your computer to put the trade on. You can mosey over and use the alert to look at the 30-minute chart of whatever market the alert's about, and you can see why the entry price is where it's at, why the initial target's where it's at, why the additional targets are where they're at, and why the final trade to target is where it's at, the weekly zone. So, yeah, you can trade them. It'd be hard to keep you from not trading them. Not that I want to. I just want to make sure you use them to learn how to read a chart. Because if you don't learn how to read a chart now, who's going to teach you? And if you can't read a chart, you can't become a trader. Period. Mic drop. Boop. Now, 367 weeks, that's a long time. Divide that by 52 and it'll tell you how many years. I don't know how many. I don't have my calculator. Oh, here's a calculator. Let's see what it says. 367 divided by 52. That is a little over 7 years. But years before we had Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they're different, both in format and delivery. The CTAs don't come out around the clock. They're typically published 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. The Wednesday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. So all of our traders and all of our trial members had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go look at the daily chart of the S&P. Now, the last time we put in a new all-time historic high. Now, let's see, did we yesterday? All right, this all-time historic high was 64.68 half. Yesterday, I don't know if I can get a read on it because it's all bunched up there. Oh, come on. 64.70. Okay, so today's highs 65.02 half. So yesterday's close, that was a new all-time closing high. But look at what's happening here. Okay. Now back here, when we put in this all-time historic high, we ended the day red. That was a Thursday, and then we followed up with a red Friday. We hit the 50% fib extension, which we expect to be support until proven otherwise, and it was. It was support all these days. Remember when we were trapped in this range for so long? And we finally broke out, put in that new high, and immediately reversed. Now, I'm not seeing an immediate reversal here, but with this big of a move up, we would certainly expect a retracement. Now, there's potential support at the black step line, blue and climbing, the BBC, the 62% fib extension, these lows right here, and then we're back to the 50% fib extension. How will it unfold? Time will tell. Obvious resistance is at the high of the day. 65.02 half. It is the new all-time historic high. Let's see how close we can get to it. $65.02 half. My goodness, we nailed it. Huh, that's pretty rare. It's hard to get it exactly on the line on the daily chart. Okay. The green line is called the BBC, stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. When price reverts to the mean or pulls back to the BBC, and price always reverts to the mean, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Then April 24th, we closed back above. The pullback held. The pullback held. The pullback held, and the pullback held, and then the pullback held. Now, it looked like we were going to get a leg, a retracement, and another leg to the downside. But right here, as we were attempting to create that next leg to the downside, the pullback to the BBC held. See, these held, even though they spiked it down to the 50 where they found support, the 50% fib extension. They're still touching the BBC, so that means they held. Okay, the pullback held. It spiked it, but it held. And then this little retracement right here, this was, in my thinking, the beginning of the next leg to the downside that would take us to the 38 and eventually the 24% fib retracement, which is the shallowest possible fib retracement. A market that does not have sizable retracements is an unhealthy market. Now, I know we just put in an all-time historic high, but I'm just going to tell you from experience, this is not a healthy market. Okay? We're riding the back of some high flyers, and remember how excited everybody was back in the late 90s? All stocks were going to the moon. You could throw a dart at a dartboard and do well. We know what happened then. Big crash. So we got potential support here, here, here. Where's our resistance? Well, because this is an all-time historic high, when you look left, there's nothing to see. But the current 100% fib extension is up at 65.85. It will be difficult. Something would really have to come undone for price to be able to trade through all those multiple layers of support. But eventually it's going to happen. And that's probably going to mean some really bad news on some front. I mean, there's geopolitical tension everywhere you look, even in America, even within the individual parties. No blood spilt yet. Well, not true. Just turn to the streets of America, where Trump is trying to clean things up, and the Democrats are issuing whistles to criminals. I'll let you Google that on your own. All alerts, Logic 247 and the Concierge Trade alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The vertical line separates today, Wednesday, from yesterday, Tuesday. Back here's Monday. When price drops to a weekly trading zone, we expect resistance, our support. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. Resistance always sends the market looking for support, sends the market looking for resistance, which sends the market looking for support. And then resistance, and then support, and resistance. Now look at this move. We never made a complete pullback to the BBC last night until 10:30 this morning. Pulled back, and we actually got below the BBC. We got red and falling overhead. So do I expect lower prices today? I do. Long overdue. Now, just because something's due or overdue or overbought or oversold, okay, that's not necessarily a strategy in and of itself. But markets don't grow to the trees don't grow to the sky, and neither do markets. Here's the Dow. We opened last night right at a weekly zone, dropped to the BBC support, bounced up to the zone, resistance, dropped back to the BBC support, and then we hit the long target. We made a run at the highest weekly trading zone. Haven't got there yet. Got a retracement to blue and climbing, but you see these wicks sticking to the upside. The black step line is crossed blue and climbing. So the most logical thing to happen right now would be a retracement back to the BBC. Then it becomes a question of, does it hold or not? We know the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Like here, and here, and here, and here. But eventually it does trade through. Now, this just might be one of those instances where it does trade through. Now, because we've traded so boldly through that long target, if we get a retracement and we trade through the BBC, keep an eye on the top side of this long target as potential support. Okay. And then this little area right here, you see where the step line crossed blue and climbing? That's an important price, important area. Maybe it'd be easier if you just looked at the low of this candle, 44,685. That's the low, 44,685, which pretty much lines up with this. See where it crossed? And it crossed back off this move. 930, that's the 930 opening candle. We came real close to the highest weekly zone. Didn't quite get there yet. It's only Wednesday. Russell. Here's where we opened last night. Now remember, everybody had the targets 5 minutes ahead of the open. The weekly zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever for the last 15 and a half years. We are above the highest weekly trading zone on the Russell on a Wednesday. We were above it yesterday on a Tuesday. Now, what 15 and a half years of history teaches us is that by close of business on Friday, price will be at or below the highest weekly zone. What happens between now and then to make that happen? I don't know. And is it possible that we just simply close above the highest weekly zone? Yeah, it's happened. It's happened a few times. But off the open last night, it took 1, 2, 3 30-minute candles, and then the fourth candle ran right to the target, to the tick. 22.99. Resistance sends the market looking for support. Support sends the market looking for resistance. Back to support. We get a leg and a retracement, a leg and a retracement, leg and a retracement, a leg, a retracement. We get a pullback all the way to the BBC. The pullback held. Another leg, another retracement, pullback held. And now we are in price discovery mode, well above the highest weekly trading zone at 2278/79. That's unusual, but it is what it is. And again, once the zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. The NQ opened right at the weekly zone, Kept trying to move higher, but it had red and falling overhead. As you can see, the zones published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, still doing their job. When we drop to 1, support. When we rally up to 1, resistance. We had red and falling overhead, and it wasn't really until the London Open right here that we broke through. We hit the long target, we'll pull back, took out the long target. We still got one more zone on the NQ overhead. Come back to the zone, consolidate. Now we're below the BBC, and this area right here where the step line crossed to the right side of blue and climbing, that's this low right here. You see that? That's market structure. Okay, we'll pick up when I come back with crude oil. Michael's here. He's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Then we'll do some live trading on the TradingView platform. Then I'll come back, finish the recap, and wrap it up with our good word for the day.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 13th day of August, 2025. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Now, on this page, just fill out first name, last name, email, phone number, multiple choice questions down here at the bottom. Make sure you go see TradingView login ID if you want to have the indicators indicating on your charts. All right, we really only use 2 of them. You got to make sure you have the indicator. You got to make sure you have the TradingView ID to get them though. All right, hit the register button. Once you hit that, we'll know that you took the trial and we'll get you all the information that you need. Right? Now, we had a better day than yesterday today, but it was still back and forth. It was a lot of trades for, well, let's just say it was a lot of trades. Anyway, today, as I said, is the 13th day of August 2025. We're up 100 ticks on the NQ, 10 on the Russell, 16 on the gold, and minus 16 on the ES. I think the only one we ended at the high of the day was gold. The high of the day on the NQ, I think we were up to 102 at one point. And we went all the way down in the 60s and back up to 100. On the Russell, we ended at 10. Actually, the Russell's at the high of the day too. We started at 5, went to 0, then went to 8, then down to 7, then back to 0, then up to 10. So the Russell at the high of the day too, I guess. Gold is at 16, that is the high of the day, and the ES is at minus 16. I believe that's the low of the day. Sure is. Today it took 6 minutes and 3 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $1,110 with 10 contracts on, and we took a total of 38 trades. That doesn't look right. 110. Yeah, it is right. It is right. I forgot I did it all this morning. It was $110 per contract is what we're at. And 110 times 10. Is that right? I think that's wrong. 110 times 10. Why is it sticking out for me? It's 1100. 1100. That's why it's sticking out. All right, we're at $1,100 a contract. It was wrong. I knew something was wrong about that. Anyway, we took 38 trades. So on the month now, we're at $5,992 over 9 business days, averaging $665 per contract for 2-hour business day. On the year at $179,087 over 139 business days, averaging $1,288 per contract for a 2-hour business day. Now, following the 24/20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add 1 contract per month, so far this year you'd have only had to work just about 18 3/4 hours, and you'd be up $99,350 quitting when you get the goal for the day. Right? So you'd be averaging $5,317 per hour quitting when you get the goal for the day this year. Last year was 49. That was last month. What did we end up with last year? That's what I'm curious about. Here it is. 3,405 last year. That number just seems really good this year. That's what I want to just check. We didn't actually do an average actual per hour here. It was 2,400 that year. And I don't know if I kept track of it well enough the year before that. 4,859, but that is all the trades. That's not just quitting when you hit the goal for the day. Right, that was the whole time. So yeah, we're doing pretty well this year as far as the average hourly rate goes. We did have some really, really good months. Our best month ever, actually. It's right there, I believe, was our best month. And was it our best month? Did we hit something over 40 last year? Hang on. This was the whole year. I guess we didn't hit anything over 40. That was our best month ever. And we had our best day ever inside that month. We made over 40 with 10 contracts for over $4,000 with one contract. Anyway, let's just get into the trades. Okay, we'll start out here with the most trades on the NQ, so we'll end with that. We'll start out with the gold. It's pretty even all the way across. So starting out with the gold. Starting out with the gold, we had first trade here on the gold was a +5, then we had a 10 to get us to 15, then we had a 1 to get us to 16, then we had a break even, and that was it with the gold. Now, did we miss stuff with the gold? That's what we have to figure out. Right, so we had another trade here with a gold break even. All right, I know this one right here, I was looking to get a trade, but we didn't have one. This was at the end of the session right here. I did take this trade and it did end up working out just fine. But I did take that one at the end. I didn't count it toward the total. I think it was that. It might have been this one. I don't know. Whatever it was, I didn't count it toward the total. And getting into it a little bit more here. Was that really a trade there? It looks like it was flat there. So it would have been a trade right in there. Yeah, 34. Then right here on the long side, that would have stopped out. And that was it. So not a whole bunch of opportunity today in gold. The Russell, we were back and forth a bit on the Russell, I believe. Started out here, our first trade on the Russell, we picked up 5 ticks, then picked up 1 more there to get us to 6, and 2 more there to get us to 8. Then we stopped out and got us to -7. Then we picked up 7 to get us to 0, and 10 right here to get us to +10. That was right at the end of the session here. That was toward the end of the session, we got this 10. Were there any more valid trades on the Russell during the morning session? But this would have been one right here. That would have been a valid trade right there. And that would have been a valid trade right there. So those two worked out just fine. This one, that would have been a valid trade there too. I was trying to disqualify it, but it would have been a valid trade there too. That would have worked out just fine. And that was it. So 3 trades that worked out well during the break. Okay. Now the ES kind of had our number today. I did mess up on the ES and stop out. We wouldn't have been down so bad if I didn't stop out. I thought I missed it twice, but on the first one here, we ended up with the break even. Then on this one right here, I went long. I should have had my stop and break even on that, but I didn't, and it stopped me out to the tick, and then it went up. So we're at -10 after that. Then we got 10 on this right here to get us back to break even. And nothing there. Then we had a -10 there. Then, so that put us at -10. Then we had a plus something. I think this was actually a +4, not a -10. Something like that. We had a +4 to get us to -6. Then we stopped out to put us at -16. Then we picked up something, and then we had a -10 again right here. So I have -16 overall. I think I did this in the wrong order. I don't know. We have -16 overall, so something in here is missing. I don't know if it was this one, whatever. Anyway, during the break, we had a trade right here. It was a long trade, would have been break even. And short trade right here. Probably would have been break even. If it went enough right here, I would have gotten break even. If not, we would have made some money on it right over here. The next trade, well, if this were to close up above the midpoint, then you'd have a trade right now. But we ended up with minus 16 this morning on the ES. Minus 16. Now on the NQ, let me slide that all the way over here. All the way over here. There we are. This was on the NQ right here. First trade of the day, we picked up 12 on the NQ. We had a break even. Then we picked up 45 on the NQ. That got us to 57. Then 6, it looks like, to get us to 63. A break even, and then a stop out down to 38. And from 38 to 42, 42 to 46, and 46 to 50, then 50 to 54. We had all those 4 tick trades right now. Then 54 up to 62, then 62 to 90. Then we had a break even. Then went to 94. Then from 94, we went up to 102. Somewhere there, we went from 94 to 102. This was the high of the day. We went from 94 to 102. And then we stopped out. And the first stop out brought us down to 77. And then we got from 102 down to 77. Does that sound right? Yeah, that does. Right, then right here we picked up something. Got us to, what is that number? From 102 down to 77, and then it goes sideways on me here. And from 70, okay, that's what it is, 77 to 93. Then went from 93 down to 68. And then from 68 to 72, and then 72 to 100 right there. And that was it, right? And during the break, I didn't put up the question box to see if anybody has any questions. No questions yet. Okay, during the break. During the break, there was a short trade right here. There was a long trade. Actually, the up close right there, it went down on the up close. That didn't go deep enough. So there's nothing through there. So far, 1 short trade during the break. 2 short trades during the break. This one would have stopped out. It's a long trade that was stopped out. It got really choppy through here during the break. Then a short right there that would have worked out. Another short here that would eventually worked out. So 2 full trades and 2 stop outs so far. And 3 stop outs right there would have been a 3rd stop out. And that's it during the break. So the NQ was, I was back and forth quite a bit today. I know I ended up with plus 100 ticks, but there wasn't a ton of follow through. A lot of those were 4 tick trades. I had a couple of 45 tick trades in there to help me along, but most of them were smaller trades. And that was just how the markets were today. You know, we have a lot of news this week. We have more news tomorrow, big news tomorrow. And we're just coming off all-time highs. As Dwayne, I'm sure told you already. Right here, all-time highs this morning, right there on this candle. The all-time high of the markets right now is 65.02 and a half. All right, and it's starting to sell off a little bit on that guy. And that one too. All right, so let's go back down to 4 on this. 4 on this. There it is. All right, so on the gold right now, we don't have anything. We're getting back into the trading right now. Okay, If you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click on that purple button. It's going to bring you to this registration page. Just fill out the form. Once you fill out the form, make sure you give us a TradingView login ID once you fill out that form, and then you will be able to get your indicators indicating on your desktop. Okay. All right. So over here on the NQ, let's just look at it one at a time. What we're looking for on the NQ, right here, where it gave this down close, was not off the midpoint, so no trade. It didn't make it into the oversold, so this one right here doesn't mean anything. Okay, and this is going to go down into the oversold and then get back into the overbought to give us another trade opportunity. That's the NQ. The ES has a green background. So what's happened with the ES is right here where it came out of the oversold, it was below the midpoint, so no trade there. So what this has to do now, it's not going to, it's going to flip the background right here. You see how the black line and this bar hit the yellow right there? If you extend the yellow out, it doesn't matter whether it closes up or down, it's going to flip the YBR over. So it's going to be a short YBR now, right? The background color is going to change to red, at which point we will start looking for shorting opportunities. Okay. And we don't have any yet. The Russell, on the other hand, is already red. It's very red, as a matter of fact. It's in the oversold. Let's just come out of the oversold. So an up close on this bar is going to bring it to about right here, and it'll probably bring this into the overbought. So the bar after that could be the trigger bar if it gives a wick up to the midpoint and closes down, but it's probably not going to be. But this is probably going to come together. If we get an up close on this one and the next one, then the bar after that could be the trigger. Okay, so you don't have anything to worry about there right now. And finally, over here on gold, we just flipped the background to red. All right, so now it's pulling back. It's gonna stabilize the midpoint. It's not going to do that right now. All right, if we get a down close on this, it's going to take a couple of bars to get back above and stabilize the midpoint, and then you're going to need another down close to get below the midpoint. So nothing is even close to a trade right here, right now. Okay, not yet. It's getting there. Not quite there yet. Now you realize we know all that stuff because we use range bars. If I were to put this on, like, say, a 2-minute bar. Okay, now I don't know when, I know when, but I don't know where any of these bars are going to close. So what I do know is that right now you're in the overbought, so you need to get into the oversold. Now, I don't know how many bars it's going to take to close down to get it to the oversold. It looks like it'll probably still be just 2 bars to get it to the oversold. But I'm not sure that that's really the case. If it's always going to be 2 bars, no matter what time frame you're in. 2 up closes or 2 down closes. But the one thing we do know is that in 14 seconds, we're going to be on a new bar. Or 1 minute and 14 seconds, we'll be on a new bar. That's one thing we do know about this. No, that's all you know. So if we go to like a 30-second bar. Okay, so we just created a new bar now. Midpoint is flat. Okay, it is flat. And you see how right here, this extends out 1 bar? That's because this is in real time right now. Current bar. So what you would do with that, if you go in here to TV Trades Range Trigger, I think I put that in there. This is the offset right here. 50% offset. You have to change that to 0. If you're going to be using it on a minute bar like that, then you want it to be on the current bar. So there it is. And now, if you were doing it on the time bar like this, you don't know where your stop's going to be. You don't know whether this bar is going to close up or down. So you got to wait and see what happens with it. If the bar does close up, it looks like it's going to stick that in the overbought, right where it's not yet. If it does close up in another 3 or 4 seconds here, it looks like it's going to put that in the overbought, right? It didn't actually put it in the overbought. It didn't close up either. It closed right there at the middle. So if it would have closed up, it might have done it. This one right here, you can see if this closes above the open, it's going to put it in the overbought. You see how it's reacting real time? You see how much less information you have with this? You don't know where the price is going to close. You can't look a bar ahead of time and say, okay, I know the next 3 bars, what it's going to take to make a trade. You have no idea what's going to happen with this bar. It could close right here and be nothing. Okay, it closed up, so it put it in the overbought. So now we need to come out of the overbought, but you have no idea where it's going to be coming out of the overbought. Do you see that? You see how little information you have when you stop using the range bars? You can't plan 2 bars ahead or 3 bars ahead and say, this is what's going to happen. There's no way. Go back to the 9 range and I say, okay, we've hit the midpoint, so we need to down close on this bar. We're going to have a trade. Go back to the 32nd. Say, okay, well, it looks like if this bar closes a little bit above the open, not too far above the open, we'll come out of the overbought, but it's not going to be below the midpoint. You see how the midpoint's just dragging all over the place here? It almost never hits the midpoint and closes. And with the midpoint getting flat, what's it going to take for this to be a flat midpoint? You don't know. See, it just closed. And did it close down? It did close below, so you just crossed below right there. Doesn't look anything like a trade though, does it? Yeah, the range bar, you can say, okay, this is too high to be a trade. Down close is going to be right here, so it's not going to be a trade. Jeff. No, it's a question for in here. It's a question for either one, Jeff. You want the midpoint to be stabilized, right? If it's flat, if it's not flat like this, that means it's still putting in higher highs or still putting in lower lows as it's adjusting down here, right? If it's got a flat midpoint, that means it's come out of the oversold down here, or come out of the overbought, whichever one. But in this case right here, it'd be come out of the oversold, and it's looking to find a spot for resistance. Okay, in this case, and over here, when it's flat over here, it means it's come out of the overbought, and it's looking to find a spot for support. And it's just gonna be flat for 1 bar. All right, you don't want to do them when they're like this. That means it's still changing down here. It hasn't stabilized. All right, the question was, why do we have to have a flat midpoint? Why can't we just take one like this one right here? You can take that, but then there's really no point in having the midpoint. Okay, the midpoint kind of gives you an area of where price is stabilized, and it's based upon this down here. Now, granted, there are a lot of them that, when it comes out of the oversold, even if it's right here on an inclining midpoint, they still work out pretty well. Or if it comes out of the overbought on a declining midpoint, well, here's one. That one actually didn't make it. Comes out of the overbought on a declining midpoint. This one, is there one right here? No. I don't know. Usually going to have the stable midpoint. Okay, you want to have that stable midpoint. Yeah, there aren't too many of them that don't have that. We'd be interested in trading. Okay. Rules based. So we want to have an up close here. Gets us into the overbought, then followed by 2 down closes, it looks like. That's not going to turn into a trade on the gold, I don't think. The way it's coming together. All right. Time is 1:24, 25. So we have 5 minutes left. We didn't get into the overbought on the up close I thought we were going to here. So we need another up close followed by a down close. QQQ short soon. What that means when that happens is that on 100 range, well, yeah, 100 range QQQ, it's gone into the overbought. The triggers have gone into the overbought. So that means the bigger picture stuff is suggesting it's going to start moving down from here. Right? That means the NQ is probably going to get a retracement. All right. On the 19 range NQ, we need to go flat down here. We need a couple of down closes. We need to go flat down here to bounce off the midpoint. The ES has got a ways to go. The Russell needs an up close on this bar, and then an up close on the next bar, and a down close after that. The gold needs an up close followed by a down close. So it's kind of like the morning was. It's just not giving us a lot of opportunity right now. I suspect tomorrow will be better. Which one did I change that on? I changed it on this one. I changed it on. You see how the black line is not extending out to the current bar? That is in here on the context when I went to the minute thing on that. Where was it? It was on this side. 50% offset. It's not in the context. It's in the 50% offset. This one. I know I made it somewhere in here. Here it is right here. Oops, that pushes this bar over just one. It does make me wonder about something else. Just look at this. Stick another one of these down here. Oops, that's the wrong one. We don't have any trades right now, so I'm messing around a little bit. Let's put that one down. This side. Shut that. Just curious what that looks like. See down here if I slide it up one. And they're right on top of each other. All right, so right here, what we need is a down close to get this into the oversold. We could have a trade on an up close after that. We have nothing over here on the NQ and an up close followed by a down close over here on gold. Be a short. some of that later. In here, we could get rid of the background color. I gotta turn that back on. Show retracement levels, but in here. Anyway, we still don't have any trades. Let's see. Over here, we still need the up close followed by a down close. Over here, we need two down closes followed by an up close. Over here, we're going to now need. It's not going to turn into a trade here on the NQ. Wait, it's come together. Oh wow, it's 1:31. Yeah, with all the time go. All right. Well, it turns out we didn't have any trades in here. I don't think. Right. So the way we're going to wrap it up for today. This session, we didn't have any. The way we did wrap it up for the morning session, we got $510 a contract with 100 on the NQ, 10 on the Russell, 16 on the gold, and minus 16 on the ES. On the month, we're at 59.92. On the year, we're under 79,087. Wow, this just got away from me, didn't it? If you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Once you click on that, you'll be sent to this page. Just fill out the form, right? Make sure we get your TradingView login ID. And that is it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yep. The probability of a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut in September has risen to 99.8%.
99.8%.
Yeah, it doesn't cite the source of the data.
Last time I heard that, it was 97%. So it's better.
Yeah,
it's better.
BTC is at 121,000.
Yeah.
All right, let me go to the screens.
All right, you got it coming over. It's almost there.
Yep.
There it is. I see your chart. And now I see your passport.
Okay. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took, make sure I get this right. Today it took 6 minutes and 3 trades to get to $1,100.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Alrighty. We left off with crude, guys. And yesterday on the live broadcast, we drew in this window of opportunity. Now today's Wednesday over here. Vertical lines separate the days. Of course, this is Tuesday. This is Monday. This is Friday. So we went all the way back to Friday to find the window of opportunity. And then last night, it was a $150 window of opportunity from $62.95 down to $62.80. But the opening 30-minute candle last night only dropped to $62.82. So instead of it being $150 per contract, it was only $130 per contract. We missed hitting the short target, which was the bottom of the window, by 2 pennies. Support bounced the market up to resistance. Pull back to the BBC holds more often than not. That resistance sent us back down to the short target. This time we traded through it all the way to the zone. These are the zones that were published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published Monday morning, they're carved in stone the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When it drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. Support, support. And this zone is 6185/6190, and the low of this move was 6194. So we missed hitting the zone by 4 pennies. Now, buyers coming in early, they've pushed us back up to resistance ×2. Pull back to the BBC holds more often than not. And when price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. So that should be a pretty good spot for resistance. And then just above it, you've got the underside of the short target, which once you trade through the short target on the pullback, that becomes an area of potential resistance. Support on the way down initially. So potential resistance on the way back up. That's if we trade through. Resistance ×2. If the pullback holds, then we should look for another leg to the downside. Crude just keeps grinding lower. Been grinding lower for quite a while. We're getting a little bounce here. This bounce looks like it might actually spike us up to the underside of the short target. If so, be ready for the next leg to the downside. Gold, here's where we opened last night, and on the opening candle, we filled the window of opportunity that we drew on yesterday's live broadcast. Right there. So the ticket looks like. And then resistance sent the market looking for support, which it found at the weekly trading zone, which is 3393/94. Support will send us looking for resistance. We initially found some resistance. Well, we found resistance at the long target. That's when we hit the long target. That resistance sent us back to the BBC, the pullback held. And we got another leg to the upside. And these highs right here, this little area of consolidation, if you look over here, you're going back 2 days to Monday. You can see this high, 34.1870. This high, 34.17.5. 34.17.7. Yeah, so this high was 34.17.6. 34.17.6. 34.17.7. Now again, that's going back 2 days. People always ask, well, how far left do I have to look? As far as you need to. Resistance sends us back to support. The pullback to the BBC held. Gave us another leg to the upside. We actually traded through red and falling. And this high right here, 34.22.6. That's just above this little area here. See how the step line, it crossed to the left side of red and falling, and then crossed back to the right side. That's a little bit unusual. Okay. So when you notice that kind of an anomaly, you could expect something like this or something different, but expect something. Now we're back below the BBC. We got red and falling overhead. And that wick sticking up looks like potentially a high for the day. So we got potential support at 34.04. $33.99, $33.95, and then you got the zone here at 93/94. Silver. On the open last night with silver, we dropped right to the short target, first 30 minutes. Remember, all of our traders and trial members had these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. Oh wait, that's crude. We already did that. Looking for silver. Silver used to be over there. That's why I went to the wrong tab. Here's silver. I was going to explain crude all over again. Okay, here's where we opened last night on silver. 37.93 half. So we'll just call it 37.94. And we ran up to 38. Target was actually 38.01, so we missed hitting it by a penny. But you only need 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. So if we opened at 94 and ran up to 38, that's 6 pennies, that's $300 per contract traded. Resistance will send the market looking for support. Go back to the BBC held. Give us a leg all the way up to the zone above. 38.19/20. Consolidation. And again, here's another unusual move. The step line crossed to the right side of blue and climbing, but it just kept climbing. It didn't really do what it normally does. What it typically does down here, it did it way up here. So this is definitely an unusual move. When the step line crosses from the left side to the right side of blue and climbing, we expect a retracement back to the BBC. And we got it, but in a variant that is not typical at all. But once it finally hooked right, see, it never really hooked right here. I mean, it just barely got over, and then it just kept moving higher. I'm surprised it didn't cross back to the other side. Looks like it tried to right in there. Anyway, we got the pullback here. This was support times 2. Weekly trading zone. Remember, when price drops to a zone, we expect support till proven otherwise. Price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance until proven otherwise. Resistance, 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 then proven otherwise. And price drops back to the zone, support, 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 support. Now, we're in an interesting position. We punched through red and falling to create a little double top right here. $38.61 to $38.63. That should be a decent long trade. Now, obviously, we've got a red candle here, so we're most likely going to come down and test the BBC. And if it holds, then that will become a valid opportunity. And there may be more opportunities depending upon how long it takes for that to shake out. So, one last look at the daily. From the all-time historic high, we're now basically at the low of the session. Now, keep in mind the last, not counting yesterday, the last historic high, right there, at 64.68 half. Look how deeply in the red we closed that day. And then the following day was a Friday, and we dropped even further to the 50% Fib extension. However, the pullback held because both candles are still touching the BBC. That bounce off the 50 took us to a new all-time historic high. Now, on this sell-off here, off the all-time historic high, we had the step line, the 62, the BBC. It wasn't stacked perfectly like this. So I think it's going to be, if price does begin to drop, it's going to have a more challenging time getting through these. But we should get a bounce at each one along the way, and at the 62 and definitely at the 50. To become a member, send an email to support@cfrn.net. Let Valerie know you want to become a member, passport holder. She'll send you an email that explains everything and has a link in it that you can click, make your payment, and become a passport holder. Number one, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. You're watching, learning, asking every question that pops into your head, trading along in your demo account so that you can qualify to go live. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. So we plug that hole. 2 hours every trading day. On top of 2 hours of group training every trading day, you get private one-on-one mentoring at your request. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets, all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETFs, it doesn't matter. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock, the concierge trade alerts the second they're published each evening, which is typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, 5:55 p.m. Eastern. The Thursday session will begin tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. On Monday morning, you get the weekly trading zones, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. And every Thursday afternoon, you get an invitation to attend the members-only workshop Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And last but not least, you get the golden keys that open all the private channels in Telegram. When you're on the trial, you have access to the public channels that allows you to communicate with our traders, ask them how their journey's gone. Those places won't let you do that. We do. But once you become a passport holder, then you have access to all the channels, both public and private. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's wrap it up with a good word for the day. This is for all you married folk. Try to understand each other. Husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way. 1 Peter 3:7. To have a successful marriage, you must understand that your mate is not only physically different from you, but mentally and emotionally different as well. Let's say a problem arises at breakfast. After work, the husband's forgotten it. He compartmentalized it to focus on work. For him, it's over, but not necessarily for her. She may have rehearsed and processed it while multitasking during her day. It hasn't disappeared. It's unfinished business. After work, he comes home and there is obvious tension. He thinks, what's the problem? She thinks, how could he possibly forget? He's thinking, surely she's still not thinking about that incident from this morning. This is a good moment to introduce the Bible verse. Live in an understanding way. Understanding brings happiness. A man's brain functions in a compartmentalized way. He moves from family to work to recreation, with each compartment separate from the other. But in a woman's brain, the compartments are connected. While she is working, she's thinking about the kids, the argument at breakfast, and planning the dinner all simultaneously. So this morning's incident is still very much in her mind. By understanding these differences. Now, this doesn't make him right or her wrong. I'm not saying that at all. It's just how we're wired. Men and women are wired differently. But by understanding these differences, she can give him time to get back into the family compartment before raising the issue. And he can realize she's not being unreasonable. She just needs closure so she can feel good about the relationship again. In marriage, some things must be resolved, while other things must be processed, forgiven, and forgotten. And if your goal is to live in harmony, you must understand this principle. That's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.